Podcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today, a practical guide using a VTL for IBM I backups. My name is Axe Signer, Vice President of Electronic Storage Corporation. We are located in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We are a software development company. So here in our Tulsa office, we have our own programming staff and also our own customer service and technical support staff. We've been in business for over 30 years, and we are an IBM registered business partner as well as a Microsoft certified partner. So we're going to go over a list here of some tape backup challenges in which you're using physical tape for your IBM I backups, being inefficient, incomplete backups at times with tape, slow recovery in terms of having to retrieve tapes from offsite location, offsite storage, as well as speed of recovery during restores of physical data from physical tapes. Also, risks of failure anytime could have a damaged tape, lost tape, mislabeled tape. Also, mishandling. Manual handling of tapes in terms of transporting them to offsite storage for disaster recovery, back from offsite storage in order to perform restores. We're going to go through a way in which a VTL solution can make your backups all available online all the time for immediate restores. Storage costs and retrieval of tapes, also a challenge when using physical tape for backups. What is a VTL? Virtual Tape Library, disk-based backup that emulates tape. So being for the IBM I part of this, going to be working with your existing IBM I backup commands, whether that's using the Go Save commands, BRMS, Robot Save, Go Backup, making this a very easy transition from a physical to a virtual environment because you're able to use your existing backup jobs to immediately begin backing up to disk with a virtual tape library. This is also going to give you much faster backup and restore times compared to physical tape, up to 2, 3, 4 times faster than physical tape in terms of backup and restore times. So this is going to allow you to eliminate the physical tape handling, offsite storage, because we're going to talk about replicating of your backups to cloud storage, DR site, things like that, where you're able to create multiple copies of your backups for disaster recovery and restores. So a VTL also can automate and streamline your backup process, being that no tapes are loaded, unloaded from a tape library, whereas all your virtual tapes, all your backups are available anytime when you actually perform a backup and also want to restore data from a backup. So practical steps to transition from tape to a VTL. So access current tape backup setup and retention needs. So you're going to assess those currently, and those can be the same as your current physical tape setup, as well as your retention. At times, our customers can change their backup retentions. They can increase their retentions. Simply just increasing or having the appropriate amount of disk space for backups can sometimes change retentions to where you'd like to store backups for a different period or a longer period of time. Choosing a VTL solution compatible with IBM I, such as our solution, LaserVault ViTL, meaning that you're going to easily transition from your current physical tape backup solution or existing VTL with a solution like LaserVault. Install VTL on supported server or appliance. We offer software only, where you can provide the server or appliance to host the VTL software. Configure virtual tape devices and backup settings. So this is going to be what we're going to kind of demo here with our particular solution on how you can configure devices and your backup settings for beginning a disk-to-disk backup solution. Test backup and recovery with your existing job structure. We assist our customers, our new customers, with a VTL solution on this exact process of getting them started as quickly as possible with testing saves and restores with their existing backup job structure. So with this in mind, you can switch over gradually or all at once based on your comfort level of your backup to a disk solution. Many times this switchover is done very, very quickly. With our particular solution, and with VTL being that it's compatible with IBM, makes it an easy transition to actually do that switchover as quickly as possible. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go through some of the features and capabilities of our particular VTL solution for IBM. First thing I'm going to go into is configuring the VTL parameters configuration for where you're going to store your backup data when you do saves and restores, how many devices that you'd like to configure to perform your backups through one or more LPARs that you're currently saving. So we're going to go into this interface with our secure username and password. I'm going to go to Library 1 from this menu option on the left. Actually, I'm sorry, I'm going to go to Libraries. So we're going to take a look at Library 1 and see the configuration settings for setting up a virtual tape library for the IBM to present to the IBM to perform backups. So simply we give a library name which corresponds to the menu options here on the left. So this is Library 1, which could be named for whichever partition that you're using this tape library for. The emulation options go from 2, 3, 5, and 8. None of these have a storage capacity limit. So if your backup is 10 terabytes, you can use any of the LTOs and your backup will always fit on one virtual tape. So if your current backup spans the capacity of your LTO and you're having to go to another tape through BRMS or what have you, that won't be the case with a VTL solution, because these don't have a storage limit on them. Also, there's no relationship between these and backup speed. The number of storage slots, so this is set to 60 storage slots in which virtual tapes can be added for the backup rotation and your retentions. This can go over 16,000 storage slots for the number of virtual tapes you can have available for performing saves and restores. Now this number can be increased anytime that you need. So if you are needing more slots, need to create more tapes, simply increase that number and create your additional virtual tapes. It's that easy to expand a virtual system compared to a physical system, which you have the limitation of how many tapes can go into, say, for example, a physical tape library. We have some cache settings. So one of the things that we can achieve with you is terms of backups is the speed of the backup. And these are some settings that can be changed during the configuration and during testing to determine which cache size gets you the fastest backup and restore speed to disk. Over here to the right, we have two different paths defined for this tape library. We have a local disk path. So in my test demo environment, I have a server in our data center connected to our Power 10 via fiber channel. Another connectivity option is SAS. So the same that you would connect your physical tape device, either fiber channel or SAS. So on this server, there is 16 gig fiber channel connectivity to the IBM. There's a path for these backups for this tape library to go to the E drive, which is local disk on a server. This instead could point to a SAN, NAS storage, deduplication appliance such as Cohesity, Rubrik, Exagrid, Pure Storage, whatever the case might be. And that's one of the things that you have the flexibility of doing, is utilizing existing and leveraging existing storage for your backups, and simply point the VTL path to write those backups to that storage. Now we do have a second path defined for this tape library, and that is Azure Cloud Storage. So one of the features with this interface is the ability to create multiple paths for your data to reside, for your virtual tapes and backups to reside. So whether I want to have local copies of my backups on disk, SAN copies, replicated copies, cloud storage, replicated copies, those paths can be defined within one tape library in order to restore, recover any of those virtual tapes, no matter where they're located, as long as I have that path listed for this tape library to access those virtual tapes. Now, some of the settings here when you define your path, so we'll look at the local path settings, just have simply the path there. One of the other features of our particular solution that allows for faster backup speeds is the ability to write data to multiple files. So this is called our data block file count option, and we've set it to 8. So as the tape is loaded, the virtual tape is loaded into the drive, the backup starts to write data. When you execute the backup, we're actually writing the data to 8 different files at the same time in order to spread out that workload across multiple processing threads, RAM, etc., in order to increase speed of the backups compared to a physical tape solution. Some of the other things I can do is like exclude any of these virtual tapes on this path from seeing those in inventory. Our software comes standard with compression, which averages 4:1 compression of the data. Encryption with your encryption key here, which would be AES 256 encryption. We have a data deduplication option, and this can reduce your data 10:1 compression or higher with data deduplication. Also reduces the amount of data you're replicating to DR site, cloud storage, because you are obtaining much higher data compression. This is a block level deduplication process in which blocks that contain new changed data are saved if they do not contain new or changed data, they're not saved again. So deduplication can greatly reduce the amount of storage that you're using for your backups and reduce replication time. This additional feature licensing capability of our particular solution. Okay, so then let's talk about defining tape devices. So under this tape drives option here, we have one entry with serial number, in which that is presented to the IBMI as the tape library's serial number. We have a worldwide port name address for zoning, control path yes. What that presents to you on the IBMI side is a tape library, in my case TAP MLB V1, and TAP V1 is the tape device. So our solution with NPIV can support up to 64 virtual devices defined here for a single fiber channel port. 64 virtual devices. That can be 64 individual tape libraries, a tape library with 64 devices, which can be used across multiple partitions. And those are simply just zoned to whichever partitions based on their definition here. When you add another device, control path no would give you a tape library with 2 tape devices. And then you also have some security features. So as a group administrator that has been created, these are the features that any user that belongs to this group, when they log in with their username and password, these are the features they're allowed to do or not allowed to do. In this case, I'm not allowed to change the write protect of media, making the media read only, but I cannot change that within this interface. With a write protected media, you can't overwrite it, can't initialize it, you can't append to it, and it also cannot be deleted until it is unprotected. Replication and retention. So replication we have 2 different features in terms of replicating tapes. Replication is a copy of your virtual tape so that you can make a copy of that tape to a DR site, cloud storage, both, either. Some volumes may go to cloud, some volumes can go to DR, some volumes can go to SAN or NAS storage. You have a lot of flexibility in terms of where you'd like to place your virtual tapes. Sometimes it can be based on retention, where longer term storage tapes could be replicated, copied to cloud storage. Migration means moving the tape from one path to another, and I'm going to actually do a backup and show you how a tape can be automatically migrated from local path to another path, such as Azure Cloud Storage in my example. So if we edit this, we're just going to show that we can define replication based on all volumes or number of volumes, depending on how often you're going to run the replication job, which is an automated process of replicating your backups to a secondary path, like a DR site, whatever the case might be. We can compress the local backups, compress the remote replicated copies, deduplication also again available, as well as encryption for replicated copies. So backups can be saved encrypted and then also replicated during their encrypted state to the network or secondary path. Now, if you're not using BRMS Robot Save, you can enable your local retention of your backups based on age or based on number of volumes. So if you'd like your daily volumes to expire, say for example, after 10 days, they would automatically be either initialized or deleted from inventory upon that retention time period. So you can enable local retention as well as your replicated copies with remote retention. And that would enable you to, say, either set the same retention for tapes remotely that are replicated, or actually change those to a different retention and have those retain longer or a shorter amount of time at the replicated site. Also have some other examples where we have parameters for your cloud account, Wasabi, Azure, Amazon S3. As you can see, these allow you to actually enter in your cloud storage properties for your cloud storage account, therefore giving LaserVault, the VTL solution, access to the storage in order to replicate those backups to that site. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and run a backup within BRMS. This is my daily control group. So that backup's going to run. We're going to go here. We're going to hit the refresh button within the tape library. So you can see that the next tape BRMS wants to use this volume serial here, volume 6. As you can see, it's writing to local path, which we have defined as our path for doing the save of the backup. So since we can have backups in 2 different paths that are defined for this tape library, we actually have a column here showing us where that tape is actually located, in this case in the local path. So that backup is completed. The tape has automatically unloaded back to its slot. And as you can see, it is now actually in Azure. So the migration process is running as an exit program within the control group to actually move that tape, migrate that tape over to Azure storage. So that is the way that this particular backup is defined, is that I'm telling BRMS to run the migration process, saving it locally for speed, and then migrating it to Azure. Now you can go ahead and actually perform a restore. Will be slower because it's actually in cloud storage, But again, these paths can be network attached storage, DR site. You can have local disk as a landing zone for your backups for speed. You can then migrate to alternate storage of your backups and still be able to see those virtual tapes wherever they're located and be able to actually restore anytime that you need them. Up here at the top, you can go local storage. So this is all my local storage backups. Go to Azure, and these are all my backups stored in Azure. Now, when I run, actually, I'm kind of focusing a little bit on BRMS here, but if we run BRMS maintenance, any tapes that are in any other path will automatically be initialized if they have expired, and they will be initialized and brought back to local storage if that's the way you want to process your migrated backups when they expire. Some of the other features, you can move a tape into the drive manually. You may want to, you may have to do that to do, say, a D-mode IPL from a full system save, because you can do full system restricted state saves with this solution, being that it emulates tape. And you can also do D-mode IPL to recover that system with licensed internal code and all of your user libraries and everything that you need off that full system save. I have the option to delete a tape unless it's write protected. I can't delete it. Migrate would move it to a different path. Protect would write protect the backup. You can click on labels and see all the libraries that are in that save, as well as their sequence and the size of that library in terms of how much space. Again, all that is also available in BRMS Robot. When you select something to restore object library, that volume automatically gets loaded and the restore begins immediately. Okay. So just a recap, fiber channel connectivity, SAS connectivity, those are your two options for connecting our particular VTL solution. This allows it to emulate exactly what tape does and confirm in terms of full system save, D-mode IPL, using your existing backup procedures and commands and jobs to switch over to a VTL virtual tape solution. NPI configuration with fiber channel, again, up to 64 virtual devices per fiber channel port connection. Mention again full system saves with D-mode IPL using virtual tape. Leveraging your existing storage with connectivity to SAN, NAS, deduplication appliances. We have many technology partners such as Cohesity, Rubrik, Exagrid, Pure Storage, in which we provide the VTL gateway directly to that storage so that you can leverage those backup appliances that you may be using for other systems for also using it with the IBM iBackups. Automatically replicate backups to cloud storage, DR site, both. And also we talked a little bit about and went over some of the migration capabilities where you can have backups stored in multiple locations and available for restore. Okay, so we have some downloadable resources through the GoToMeeting panel. So if you have your GoToMeeting panel, you can obtain the sizing questionnaire. This gives us some idea of, in terms of how to establish and create a configuration, a custom configuration for your backup requirements in terms of the amount of data that you're saving in a full system save, the amount of time in which that would need to be increased through VTL disk to disk as opposed to a physical tape, the fiber channel or SAS connectivity needed within the solution for the number of tape devices, bandwidth. You can support 8 gig. Typical installations are using 16 gig fiber channel. You can do 32 gig fiber channel. Also, the sizing questionnaire to determine storage, whether that would be provided by us with a storage appliance with the fiber channel or SAS HBAs within that appliance, because we can configure any system to match any size backups, whether we're using compression or data deduplication of your backups. And this also can determine, if you're using existing storage, what that connectivity from LaserVault to that storage would be, whether it would be a 10 gig Ethernet connection, fiber channel connectivity to that SAN or NAS appliance, whereas you're needing that high-speed connection to write the data through the LaserVault VTL gateway directly to that storage. There's some great customer testimonials. There's a data sheet on IBM I and VTL, and then comparison of virtual tape versus tape. I think you can see a lot of things here that would help if you're using physical tape to give you a lot more data security, a lot more reliability of your backups and restores, as well as the ability to maintain multiple copies as compared to tape, which is just one physical copy. Okay, so if you'd like to visit more with us, set up a demo with where we can go over some configuration options, some licensing, whether we can put together licensing fees for our software solution and provide you with exactly what you would need for the physical hardware side of it. One thing I also want to note is that you can run this solution in a VM environment. But the fiber channel HBA or SAS HBA, you'd need a PCIe slot in your host server for the HBA connectivity to the IBM I side. So I just want to point that out before we go to anybody wanting to, if anybody's got some questions. We'd love to demo with you, get into more detail on your backup requirements, go over into more specifics on the features of the solution and how that's going to fit into your current process. So feel free to email us at info@laservault.com or give us a call on our 800 number. We're going to have a drawing for a SanDisk 1 terabyte portable SSD after this session concludes, and the winner will be notified via email. So there is a way within GoToWebinar to, in the panel, if anyone would like to ask any particular questions that I could go ahead and answer for you now. Or if you'd like to just simply email us once we're completed with the webinar. But feel free to ask any questions that you might have in terms of VTL solution or our particular solution specifically. Okay. Well, I think we're good now to go ahead and complete the webinar. So I really appreciate everyone's time and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you very much.